Greg DJ KLEEN Bridgman with Best Damn Show, and I've got with me good friends of mine, Jaded Heart. Say hello, guys.
Hello, guys.
What's up?
Just in case you've lived under a rock, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves, except for me.
Mike Foster, one of the many in Batesville.
Charlie Driver. Nice to meet you.
Jason Mosier.
Luther.
Jason Luther Mosier.
Tony Mosier. I play guitar, and I'm going to try to pull this gig off.
There you go.
We call it
try.
Momo.
I'm going to try.
Actually, it's Dr. Tony Momo.
It's Dr. Tony Momo.
He don't want to talk about
If we don't do very good on this show, our 50th anniversary, maybe we'll do better on the 50th.
Yeah. The 50th will be better.
Well, in case anybody is wondering, the show they're talking about is April 14th at 8 p.m. at Greasy Bend RV Park in Rosalie, Arkansas. So be sure to come out for that. Let's get right into it, guys. I want to start talking about Batesville at the time had just gotten rid of KZLE, went country, no MTV. Did that affect any of y'all's, without that presence, did it hinder y'all from the creativity part? No influences to hear on the radio. I mean, of course, you got your own cassettes and stuff that you listen to, but
yeah,
there was anything new there? I mean, for y'all to listen to kind of get ideas and pull from? Or?
we just went to the Treble Clef and talked to Lou, and he got all our favorite stuff.
Yeah.
Now, Tim Jones, he was a member of the CBS, Tape of the Month Club, when he signed up, Columbia House, and he signed up and he got a bunch of tapes in, and he actually threw me this cassette and said, "Man, this is terrible. I don't like it. You can have it." And it was Alice in Chains' Facelift. And I was like, I don't think he even listened to this, because I put that in and I was like, wow.
I know, right?
This blows my mind. So that's how I got
Yeah,
it.
Tim always had the hookup.
Always had this.
So none of that hindered or anything as far as,
No.
because that was like from 90 to what, 95? There was no rock station. There was no
Well,
MTV.
Whatever Walmart sold is what we got to listen to, unless I don't know how we would have heard of something.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the evolution of y'all's music. I mean, okay, it started with glam, kind of glamish, docking
Yeah,
kind of
kinda.
music. Yeah.
Kind of.
I mean, just the,
shotgun beside.
It was
yeah.
just-
I mean, and there was always the party anthems like Nasty Child, Nasty Reputation, but y'all were kind of ahead of your time because lyrical content, it discussed more serious type nature stuff with the background of that glam metal. Let's talk about that for a minute.
That was just me trying to. I wanted us to be heavier. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, I heard bands like Pantera, and then once we got hooked up with Rob later on, I mean, that influence really kicked in, and I was just trying to, write lyrics that I knew would be relevant to what was going on at the time.
They were, the lyrics were, like I said, they were kind of ahead of their time. There was, of course, a few party anthems, but like Sister in Chains, that was kind of a personal song, very serious in nature. Judas Kiss. So y'all were kind of already, evolving into a more serious, I guess, less glamish band back
Right.
then. And of course, y'all didn't have any big hair or makeup, so.
No.
No, I don't. I never was into the glam metal bands.
Yeah.
It's just.
It was just around, and we were a cover band playing at clubs, so we kind of had to bend the knee and go ahead and play some of that stuff.
Yeah, and if you look back, really Dokken wasn't a glam metal band. They considered that when you look at them on paper, but
Dokken was real melodic, and George Lynch played, the way he played was just different than the glam metal bands. And then when he started Lynch Mob, that was a big influence on us too, that first Lynch Mob album with the Sensation.
Yeah.
And that album's kind of dark in lyrical content and music-wise.
Yeah.
I think, anyway.
it was. And Don Donkin's solo album was kind of,
It was really good.
it was, yeah, and it was really dark too. He was in a dark place with that one too. So.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about something. Y'all been doing this for a long time. Let's talk about some of the bands you played prior in, and correct me if I'm wrong on some of these. But we'll start with Michael down there. Me and what is Polk Bio Boys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Played in the band with Tony played bluegrass.
Yeah, and then there was a garage band with Tony and Mickey and that dude looked like Peter Brady.
Chris,
Yeah, Chris.
First, Sean was in there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sean was in there for a little bit before he.
I just always on the weekends heard Tony off in the distance in that little shop playing. Of course, I may have said this before, but I was playing in a band with his cousin who played drums. So I'd go to Sean's house on the weekend. I said, man, what in the world's going on over there? You know, there's some Ozzy, Judas Priest, you know, and he finally just took me over there one day and opened it up, you know. But Tony, he said Tony's kind of shy. So we got in there where Tony turned his back to us. It was just him in there playing with the guitar, you know, and I thought it was so amazing. He was out of tune. He was never missed a beat tuning, and I kept working on Sean to try to get him in the band.
So you also played with where am I at here? Me and My Monkey, By Means of Force, Floater Brown, Thump Junction, Tactic 86, Big Ten, President Greg,
Yeah, Big
Trippin'
Ten.
Nicky. Which one
Yeah,
is your
Big
favorite?
Ten.
Which one is your favorite out of all those?
The me and My Monkey and By Means of Force it was different, you know, and I liked a lot of riffs that Brandstetter had, you know, so I enjoyed that better.
Okay. All right, now we'll go with Chuck. Secret, well, South by Southwest, Secret Service, Chuck Driver Band, Chuck Driver Band, Color by Numbers. Am I missing Poke Bow Boys? You were briefly in there, right?
I was in Poke Boys for a little while. After Jaded Heart broke up, I was in Saddle Tramp with Danny
Saddle
Dozer,
Tramp.
Roger Jefford, Mike Foster, and Wendell Elms.
One of the many Mike.
Well, actually, before Wendell was in there, Dennis Crouch played bass in that band, and he was doing odd stuff. Like he had a big stand-up bass, and he has electric bass. And on the electric bass songs, he would always play stand-up. And then on songs that would call for the stand-up, he'd play electric. And he was just getting disenchanted with what we were doing. And I was like, man, he's a great bass player, but, you know, we got to get him out of here. We need somebody that's, you know, wants to play more modern music and is going to take it more seriously. And so I kind of forced their hand to get rid of him. And so he moved to Nashville, and now he's a big superstar and played all over the world. Played with Robert Plant, Alison Krauss. I mean, and he's still, to this day, he's a big cat over Nashville. So, you know, maybe one day he'll thank me for that.
So out of all those bands, which one would you say was your favorite?
Probably Jaded Heart. I mean,
What,
obviously.
aside from Jaded Heart?
Aside from Jaded Heart. Probably North by Northwest, because back then I was not a singer. I was just a drummer.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my first real band with real musicians. We had Lane Haygood on guitar. We had Steve Jarvis on bass, Tammy Hilburn on vocals, and we were doing like Smith songs and REM and the really early alternative music, and it was a blast. And Lane was a big Pretenders fan, so he was a James Honeyman Scott master of the Telecaster. You know, he just had great tone, great playing sensibility. It was really good. So yeah, that's.
I remember Lou told me one time, he said, don't mention that name when you come to my store, because I asked him one time, whatever happened to Lane? He's like, don't ever mention his name, he owes me money.
I think we all owe him money at one time.
Yeah, one time,
I
yeah.
know somebody did.
Okay, so Jason, I've got Soul Searchers,
Yeah.
Parks Payne Mosier,
Mm-hmm.
Ten Tongue Symphony,
Yeah.
and of course the Lockhouse Orchestra.
Yeah.
So,
Got
am I
another
missing
one.
any?
Did they say pseudo hippie?
Yeah, it's in a
Did he?
hippie.
Pseudo hippie, okay.
Yeah.
All right, out of all those, which one was your favorite? I gotta say, when you first played Ten Tongue Symphony for me and Michael, his wedding weekend, I was blown the hell away.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Those guys are tight.
It's pretty unique.
Yeah, it was unique. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the best way I could
It's
say.
unique. Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely loved that band. It was great. It was a great time. Great songs. The album was great. I don't
And the
know.
production on that thing was unbelievable. Y'all
Yeah.
got a really good engineer on that one.
Well, it was Jason Latshaw, and
Yeah.
it was recorded at Ardent, so
Yeah.
it was a pretty big deal. It was good stuff.
Was
But,
that your favorite one at all?
I don't know. It's hard to say because I've been doing this stint with the Lawcast Orchestra for years and years, and I just love those guys so much, you know. And I mean, we still play to this day. I mean, so I don't know, man.
It's hard to decide.
It is.
Soul
It is.
Searchers.
It's impossible.
It's probably the Soul Searchers.
All right, Dr. Tony.
That's not
No, it's
Tony.
that's your name, Dr. Tony.
No, Tony.
Own it, brother. Okay, I got well, you call it Stonehenge. I always thought it was Wizard, but you said
I
it's
don't.
Stonehenge.
That's been a long time ago, back in high school. I think it was Stonehenge.
Okay, so we'll call it Stonehenge. It's Stonehenge, Trinity, the Tony Moser Band, Polk Bible Boys, the Garage Band with Peter Brady and your sister, and
Yeah, there was mixed through my time there in high school. There were a lot of different garage bands I was in. I don't know if we ever had a name or not.
So which one was your favorite out of those I listed?
Besides Jaded Heart,
Yeah.
the Tony Moser Band.
Tony Moser Band.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an awesome.
Yeah,
group.
I had a lot of, I don't know about them, but Mike and Jason, I had a lot of fun with that. And
Yeah.
I didn't know, I was kind of, I just was going to play my guitar. I remember we were playing at a gig at Downtown Music in Little Rock, and
We did one in Juanita's because I went there.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
at Juanita was.
It was
I forgot about that.
Dangerous
Yeah.
Toys. Somebody that was in Dangerous Toys.
Yeah, and we opened up. Was it Wake? We played there
Maybe.
a couple times, but I just was a guitar player, and I remember Jason hollering from behind. He said, "Talk to him, Tony." I thought, man, I don't know. I'm just here to play my guitar. I can't speak to these people.
Yeah.
It was an experience, but I had a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, that was. I remember when y'all were finishing the touches on that album. The what is it called?
The awaiting.
Waiting for the return. Y'all, Robert Lance is finishing up, and Chuck Schaff came in and did his magic on there. And Michael, I remember Michael was telling Lance, "Now I got to have a certain sound," and Lance was like, "The only thing I can think of that's Michael's wanting is Doug Pinnick." And I said, "Yeah," I said, "That's what he's wanting. He's wanting that thick, low end, heavy sound." And it's still prevalent to this day.
Yeah, I like that little growling sound.
Yeah, and Lance he couldn't get it, and Chuck come in there, and Chuck was like, "Oh man, that's all, I'll get that for you," and boom, there you go. Yeah, so I remember that. Okay, let's see here. Who was each of y'all's favorite band that you opened up for? Aside from Fight, okay, that's gonna be the obvious.
Well,
You're gonna make it hard now.
Besides Fight, who was
besides
y'all's favorite?
Fight, okay,
Right.
that was my favorite. But besides them,
Who's your second favorite?
Quite
David?
right.
Quite right.
Man, when we opened up for Widowmaker, that band was just killer.
Those guys are
D.
awesome.
Snyder and
Yeah.
that whole thing,
Al Petrelli,
that band was
Al,
killer.
killer guitar
I
player.
Yeah, they were really, really good.
they're tight. I like them. I like them better
Yeah, I
than
mean,
Twisted Sister.
I don't know if it lasted. I mean, I don't know how long that little gig they were doing lasted, but I remember being blown away by the band. They were really good.
Okay.
My favorite was Survivor.
Survivor.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
Survivor was
Oh man,
killer.
yeah, I forgot
Yeah.
those two.
Those guys are unbelievable too.
Atlanta Rhythm Section.
Atlanta Rhythm Section. Now, when we were opening up for Survivor, we were in Jason's mom and dad's shaggin' wagon, and we pulled up to the light in Little Rock, and we were just sitting there, and I looked over, and I said, "Man, that's Jimmy Jameson, right there." And he was in a little BMW with his girlfriend, and Tony was like, "No, that's not him. It can't be him." I said, "Man, that's him." So we started driving down the road, and the BMW was right there with us, and then they kind of pulled in front of us. They went right on into where we were going, and sure enough, it was him.
Wow, that's
So
awesome.
that's kind of cool.
And he ended up being he did some tracks there at Crosstown where y'all recorded for Greg Morris.
They actually recorded the Survivor album there.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
And
awesome.
while we were recording that, Jimmy came in one day just to listen to what we were doing. And I didn't get to talk to him very long, but he was cool.
Yeah. Hell of a singer, that guy.
Oh yeah.
If I had to handpick anybody to replace Dave Bickler, it would have been Jimmy Jameson.
Right.
You know. All right, Michael, who was your favorite person at the band or artist to open up for?
Well, it's between Widowmaker and Quiet Riot too.
All right.
You know, Quiet Riot was just because it was in the early days. You know, you're so excited. You know, you grew up listening to them, and here they are. You know, and so I lean towards Quiet Riot.
Did you talk to any of those guys, like
Yeah,
Rudy
we-
Sarzo, in relation to your instrument, like Rudy Sarzo or?
They let us get on the bus there for a little bit, and but we don't have any pictures or anything. It's all outside the bus and with Chuck and Tony. But I remember going up in that thing, they were letting us see what it looked like.
Right.
He was up in that thing.
Going up in that thing.
I remember the. Go ahead.
I forgot Eddie Money and Foghat.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, really?
that was good.
Yeah, Eddie Money and Foghat at Burns Park in Little Rock. I forgot about that.
He had a pretty good. Eddie Money had a pretty good backup band, didn't he? I mean, they were solid.
Oh, they were good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just good.
Did he play saxophone, or did he leave that to somebody else? You remember?
I don't think he played saxophone.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't remember watching them because at that time, Timothy Witucky flew in.
Yeah, we went to Juanita.
And we went to Juanita's to eat and just kind of talk about, making a management deal with them.
All right, let's talk about your influences in relation to the instrument that you play with Jaded Heart. So, who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Tom.
I can't. We already talked about that.
No, we didn't. I told you this is going to be an in-depth interview. We didn't go in depth.
I'm not answering that.
I listen to a lot of Ted Nugent and Kiss, but I'm going to Ace Frehley.
Ace Frehley.
Yeah, he was influence on me. We're talking about the biggest influences.
Right.
Ace Frehley, Eddie Van Halen, George Lynch, little bit of Malmsteen, Paul Gilbert, but then after that it was John Petrucci. Yeah.
All right, Jason.
I'm gonna have to say, like, early on, it would definitely have to be like Lars Ulrich, of course, Alex Van Halen, of course, and then progressing a little bit, really got into Stuart Copeland, which I don't play anything like that. I can't, but he's just amazing. And then drummer for Tool is really good. But I'd have to say,
It's hard to narrow them down.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It really is. Dave Lombardo from Slayer.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can't forget the late great Randy Rhoads.
Randy Rhoads.
Oh,
I was wondering if you was going to say them.
yeah, Eddie Van Halen and Randy Rhoads were there together.
Well, I remember Michael had told us about Tony. I think it was at school or something. Man, I met this guy and he can play Aussie and rock. Well, whatever. And so Lance was like, well, I got to hear this. And so we went over there and I was like, oh my God. He was playing Crazy Train note for freaking note. And I was blown away. But it was Michael that was coming to school talking about it. And you go hear this guy. All right, Chuck, in relation to your singing, who would you say vocal-wise?
The person that made me want to sing and be a singer, and I just set the drums down, was Bono. And it was specifically the Live Aid show, July 13th, my birthday actually, in 1987. And I watched that show and I was like, that's it, I want to be a singer.
He's awesome.
But then after that, I mean, all the guys around here, they wanted to play metal. So I either had to conform or I was, just not going to be involved. So, I mean, I was always a big Judas Priest fan when I was a younger kid. So Rob was a big influence on me. Always wanted to sing like Sebastian Bach, but he just has a different sound, a different range. And, as much as I would have liked to emulate him, I just couldn't. Lane Staley,
yeah,
is a huge influence on me as a singer. To some degree, Maynard from Tool. Maybe Jizzy Pearl from love hate.
Yeah.
A little bit. I kind of liked his voice. Axel to some degree, but I kind of got to where I really don't like his singing.
Yeah, neither do I.
Chris Cornell.
That's another story.
Chris Cornell and also Eddie Vedder. Eddie Vedder was a big influence on me as a singer.
I love the evolution of all that. You know, it's like this decade it was,
Yeah.
you know, Bono, and this decade that's kind of cool. Okay, Michael, bass.
I don't know if I even.
Sure you do. We've had this
I've had to be
discussion.
influenced by somebody, but
It's Tony Mosier.
well, no, I played in a band with your brother-in-law, and of course, you know his favorite band,
At Kiss.
Kiss.
Yeah.
So I mean, I had to learn Kiss, and so I guess but I had to learn on his Flying V guitar, you know, because I didn't have a bass at the
Oh,
time.
wow.
Then I went down to the pawn shop. I went in there and I said, I'd like to have this bass. And I wanted to get a bass and an amp. I didn't have enough money. So I come back outside and my brother said, hold on, give me that money. He went back in there and next thing I know, here he come, my little Minx amp out the door with the bass and bass guitar. I don't know what he told him, but so then I had to start learning the bass parts, you know, and so really, you know, nothing was all technical or nothing. And it's kind of the way I probably do now. I just do what I do, and it's nothing fantastic. And of course, growing up, you know, I like, you know, Paul McCartney. Because I like the Beatles, but Paul McCartney,
Well, yeah.
you know, and because he,
I remember one time you told me, you said you liked the way he bounced around, kind of.
yeah.
You know,
Left hand.
yeah, you see Michael do some of that on
But you know, I
stage.
don't know. I was listening to them when I was in seventh grade, but maybe they was an influence on me, but I didn't know it because I wasn't playing music at the time. And when I played with your brother-in-law Keith, that's when I started actually trying to play bass. And of course, I like the sounds of Blacklands. Who's a Badlands?
Badlands.
Who's the bass player of Badlands?
Greg Chasen.
That dude, that
Dude
dude's
is awesome.
good.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we used to play some Slaughter, and I liked it. Dennis Strong
Dennis
he did
Strong.
a lot of stuff, extra stuff in there that you wouldn't never know he did. And so that's about it. You know, I like a lot of people, but I can't play a lot of people.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's go down here to Peace by Force. Let's talk about that for a minute. That was originally, and we talked about this earlier, that was originally a riff that Lance presented to you, and it was a song that Lance and I wrote called Joe Camelhead. It's about that stupid camel on a pack of cigarettes. Y'all remember when I worked at that stupid Quick Mart?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody stopped at that Quick Mart. Chuck did, Jay.
Jack's.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, it was right there across from Fred's.
Yeah, in the little,
Tony would stop by there all the time on the
Yeah,
way home.
in the little wide
Yeah,
triangle
yes,
there.
Over there.
Oh,
The
yeah,
little
yeah,
bitty
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Right in the curve.
I know everybody has been there whenever I was running the register, but yeah. Anyways, Peace by Force. I wrote that song about Joe Camelhead. And Lance had the riff, and you said years later you were looking for something to piece that song together, and Lance had told you about that riff. Talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, he played it. I heard him playing it, and I liked it. And we were working on the demo
Demo
two,
2, yeah.
demo two, the drop D songs.
Yeah.
And I had this riff, the chorus for Peace by Force. I had that riff, but I couldn't find a good verse, you know, rhythm for a verse line, and I told Lance, I said, man, that would fit perfect with this song.
Right.
So he told me, he said, use it. So I changed it up a little bit,
Right.
but I used it as my own, but I took that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thanks, Lance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God love them, man.
Uh,
Okay, what songs would you say are more on the progressive side of the spectrum that you are playing at this concert? If you had to like pull one or two or three out of there. What songs are on the more progressive side of the spectrum?
Ours.
Hmm?
Our songs.
Yeah, your songs, yeah. Like I think of Demo 3 right off the bat.
That's
To
a
me,
metal.
Huh?
That's a metal. To me, that's a metal demo. I'm gonna say, Psycho Man, Crying Kind.
Crying Kind, definitely, yeah. What
my
about you?
favorite song we're playing right now is Gray Soul
Gray
because
Soul.
we've never recorded it.
Yeah.
And there's 2 or 3 more that we've never recorded,
Walking
but
Dead.
they're going to be my favorites.
Walking Dead. Are y'all gonna play that?
No.
No.
my God, I think I heard that song for the first time after Mike sent it to me. Blown away, guys. Freaking blown away. I am blown away.
We've got
Y'all have got to record that. Please record that.
we've got some that we could record. I mean,
What we did, see, we got back from fight and we got heavy. You know, we were trying to just write heavy, almost thrash in a way. Then the songs that were never committed, our last songs that, like Gray Soul, Strapped,
No One Gets Out Alive.
No One Gets Out Alive. Those songs were kind of,
They're us.
yeah, did like Psycho Man, Demo 1 with the drop D, the heavier stuff, those started coming together. The progressive side, to me anyway, the progressive with the metal side of it.
Okay, Jason, you
Yeah.
spent some time with Greg Moore when y'all recorded at Crosstown.
Yeah.
He showed you some techniques. Let's talk about those for just a few minutes.
Well, he tried to school me a little bit. I don't know if any of it stuck, but he just approach about. I just wanted to hit everything as hard and as fast as I could all the time, and he told me that I needed to kind of find everything. Everything had its place. Just don't bash the cymbals just straight on all the time, and try to make as much noise as you can. He tried to get me to play a little bit to the song, and some of it stuck. And I mean, I try to play that way now. Now looking back on it 30 years, I was like, man, I was all over the place. I was just trying to play fast and loud and playing all over the guitar solo. And anytime Chuck was singing something good, I was just trying to, and it was ridiculous. But now some of that stuff is stuck. You know, I go back to it, it's like, yeah, I see what he was saying about, you know, when you play quieter during the verse and let the singer do his thing, and then and then lay back on the guitar solo and let him do his thing, and then you don't have to hit everything as hard as you can all the time. But now it's stuck.
It makes more sense.
It makes a lot more sense now, but 18, 19 that we just wanted to
now,
bash.
Did he get on the set and say, now try it like this? And,
No, he just stood there and then it just kind of tried to coach me a little bit.
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to say something else. When we opened up for Fight, Russ Parrish, remember him?
Oh yeah.
He was a dandy, wasn't he?
Yeah, what Jason talking about, what he was just talking about, made me. That's when I was younger back then. I didn't think a lot about tone. You know, I just plugged into an amp with high gain and
Loud and fast all the
just
time.
went loud and fast, and I just went with it. But I remember being out in Phoenix, and I remember talking to Russ Parrish, and he was talking about the tone comes from your fingers, and all the and that from that moment on is when I started paying more attention to how I fretted a note, how I played it. That it really made a big difference in tone.
So mechanics.
And-
Y'all got
yeah,
the mechanics of it.
Yeah. This,
Okay. Any chance of going back to the studio?
Yes.
Cool. So it'll be probably the initial studio tracks probably laid down at Tony's maybe, or
Well,
how does that work?
I've been talking to Chuck Shaft and Nigel York a little bit, and they're gonna maybe help me track the drums, and then somehow bounce it back and forth with Tony's studio, and then somehow they're gonna help us make it happen, and hopefully we can get some of the stuff that was never recorded onto a digital format now that you can, everything's different now. I mean, you can click on an app and listen to our tunes, and we don't have that.
Yeah.
Everything's on a cassette.
Yeah, cassette.
A cassette or a CD, which,
I never thought CDs would go away, but
they did.
Yeah.
the last two cars I bought, brand new, I was all excited. I was like, man, I get to plug my CDs in the car.
Nope.
Neither car had a CD player in it. So
Well,
we need to get our music on iTunes. That's the thing.
That's
In
key
digital
right
format,
there.
digital
Yeah.
realm,
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember when me and Mike was in Florida Brown, we were doing that. We were bouncing our music back and forth. We were kind of ahead of our time with that band, because he would, like, I'd say, well, here's an idea, and he would record it, send it to me. I'd lay the vocals down, send it to him. So we were doing that stuff back in the early,
Yeah.
what was it, early 2000s?
Yeah, you were in Alabama.
Yeah, and I didn't even live in the state at the time. I was in Alabama, and I mean, that's the only way we could do, record it and come together was to email it to each other. So I mean, it's very doable. Of course, nowadays it's a lot more doable.
Oh yeah.
So that's awesome. I think bringing Chuck Shaft in is a good call too, guys.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you listen to the stuff that Dead Burn stuff, and
Oh,
boy,
man.
it's got such a low end and it's so heavy, and I think we need some of that.
Yeah, I think bringing him in is definitely a good idea. Any tributes to anybody on from any of the songs? I know Broken Wings was written about the late great Michelle Snyder at one time, wasn't it, Chuck? Or
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
Any other songs like that? Or
He used to talk about Jaded Heart, the song Jaded Heart, about there's about some girl died in a car wreck or something. This was years and years.
Man,
and
that's
years
been so
ago.
long ago. I don't know. I remember. I mean, it's a high possibility. I just don't remember who it was about.
okay, now let's talk about the UVA name for a little bit. When was the decision? I got that article. I brought that article with me because I love what. First off, before I get to the question, it says here that the letters in the group's name stands for anything anyone wants it to stand for. Said Tim Jones. Rob Halford came up with that name. But y'all came back after Arizona, and eventually the decision was to drop that name and go back to Jaded Heart. Let's talk about that for just a minute.
Well, we didn't know what UVA really stood for, and then we ended up signing with Kentucky Entertainment. And once we did that, Rob and his management company just kind of said, "Well, nice working with you, but you signed with someone else. We can't help you." So that was kind of the end of that.
So y'all went back to Jaded Heart after
Just
that.
went back to Jaded Heart.
But it made more, the name, to me, as a fan, the name Jaded Heart makes more sense than UVA. And I have tried to think outside the box on this when I tell you this, and I just can't make it come together.
UVA was, I don't think, was definitely not the fit for us, but I have never liked the name Jaded Heart. To this day, I still do not like the name Jaded Heart. I wish we could be something else, but I just don't know what else we could say. And now, with so many fans that know us as Jaded Heart, we're Jaded Heart.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's...
Well, like I said the last interview, I always thought that name fit y'all's music, even when y'all were, at the very beginning. It's kind of got a dark tone to it, and the music matched the music, especially with the Suffer demo. I mean, when I listen to Suffer, I think, oh, that's Jaded Heart, so.
Right.
But so y'all just immediately just dropped that name once you kind of got back in the groove.
Well,
back in
we
basics.
did, but how long after that did the radio station? That radio station in Little Rock, 103.7, had a contest
KKYK.
of people coming up with a good name for it. Right?
Yes, they did do that, but I don't think we ever got anything decent out of it.
Well, there was
Yeah.
so many calling in, and we just never went with any of them. But
Was that their idea to do that, or was that y'all's idea to?
Chuck and them were better friends with them than Chuck might have got that started. I don't know.
I can't remember if it was their idea or our idea. to
That's
be
probably a
honest with you.
Tim Jones.
It may have been a Tim
concoction.
Jones idea, yeah.
He was always good about having something.
Always had something,
Always
some
had-
irons in the fire.
Tim,
didn't he?
Tim always had some kind of hookup somewhere.
I remember the notorious Black Book that we'd all heard about, when we were all playing. We're like, man, we got to get our hands on a Black Book.
I actually have that black book.
Do you really?
Yeah, it says Tim Jones only on it, and you open it up, and it's every single record company contact that we could find in any magazine anywhere.
Yeah.
And when we started sending stuff out, man, we sent one to every record company in the
Yeah.
United States.
Yeah, and he was stingy with that damn book too, because I remember I was like, man, just give me one name out of it, dude. And he was like, no, I can't do it. I'm like,
Somebody had a book that had, the lead singer for Saliva. What was his name? His band's name? Black something?
no, Josie.
No. What? He had,
Saliva, Josie.
Yeah, but he had another
He had a
band.
band.
Yeah, Blackbone.
Black
Yeah.
We opened up, me and my monkey opened up for Blackbone at Haji's. Remember Haji Baba's in Memphis?
Yeah.
Yeah, we opened up for him, and I met the manager for Blackbone. I still got his business card. This was before Saliva was Saliva, you know.
Yeah,
But
Right.
those guys were awesome. They
Oh,
were good, great band, yeah. There was another one from Memphis too. I think y'all may have opened up for Tora Tora. Did y'all open up for them?
I think
thought
we were
y'all
supposed to, but we never did. I
Okay.
don't think. But yeah, Tora Tora, they were awesome.
Yeah.
I liked them.
They're blues metal.
Yeah.
All right, let's do a. I like to call this head to head. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you two people. You tell me which one you like the best. I'm going to do it again. And then we're going to do a head to head, off the head to head to head to head. We have a final battle, so to speak. Okay, so Chuck, I've got Sammy Hagar versus David Lee Roth. Go.
Dave Lee Roth,
Okay. I got Janie Lane versus Don Dokken.
Don Dawkins,
Don Dokken. Okay. David Lee Roth versus Don Dokken.
Don Dawkins.
Don Dokken. All right, there's the winner right there. Let me circle that.
Yeah.
There's the
I
winner.
wouldn't have went that way.
All right, Michael.
He said, I wouldn't have went that.
All right,
Well,
Michael.
both of those guys are really not good anymore today, but Don is clearly a real singer. David was never a singer.
He was a showman,
He was
man.
just a front man.
Yeah, he was. He's a hell of a front man too. You know. Okay, so I was going to ask y'all to defend your choices. So there you go. All right, Michael. You may not know this bass player, Tony Franklin, Blue Murder, plays the fretless bass. Okay, Tony Franklin versus Chris Squire from Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Chris Squire. John Mayim versus Billy Sheehan.
Billy Sheehan.
Billy Sheehan.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris Squire versus Billy Sheehan.
Billy.
All right, now defend your.
That dude is just,
Yeah.
and he played with Steve Vai, so I mean, you play with Steve Vai, and keep up with
His
him.
music with Talus is unfreaking believable. And they just released a new album last year. Unbelievable.
Mm.
Okay, so that's that you're sticking with that.
Oh yeah, I
Okay.
have to stick with that.
He's my favorite bass
What
player.
about Kip Winger?
You know what? Me and Tony were talking about this. Kip Winger is a solid bass player.
Hey,
That guy
he's a solid bass player.
he hits the beat every time.
They got
He
a
was
new
bassist
song
for like
out.
Alice Cooper or something.
Yeah,
It's pretty good. They got a new song out.
Yeah, they do.
Well, when I saw him in concert, I was thinking, man, look at him. He just like hits a note every now and then and singing, and then he'll hit another note. But he was filling it all up, and it just didn't look like he was playing very much.
And he's not fancy at all. He's just right there on the beat. And sometimes that is magical itself.
Yeah.
If you listen to Headed for a Heartbreak, his bass playing in that it's right on the money. Right. So I used to think it was kind of funny when Beavis and Butthead made fun of them. But, I don't make fun of them. They're good. That's a good, solid band.
They were progressive glam metal.
I need to go back now, and we was talking about influences earlier.
Yeah.
I think that I play sort of the way Jeff Pilson plays. It's just total simple. Like I wish I could sing like him, but you listen to all the Dawkins stuff. It's just he got a good guitar player and then a bass player that's just doing the
No
the simple
frills, no
stuff.
frills.
So I mean that's kind of like
All right, Jason, it's your turn for head to head.
Okay.
Okay, Stuart Copeland versus Jeff Porcaro.
Let's do a couple.
Okay. Stuart Copeland. All right, Scott Travis versus Neil Peart.
Oh man. Oh, probably Neil Peart.
That's
Neil
I
Peart.
mean,
good choice, bro. Good
I mean-
choice. That's what I was gonna
I mean,
All right, Stuart Copeland versus Neil Peart.
come on, man. How can you go anybody but Neil Peart?
Okay.
Even though I probably like Stuart Copeland better, but I mean, Neil Peart is Neil Peart. I mean,
Anything you want to defend your choice on that? Just Neil Peart is
Neil Peart's probably the best drummer to ever walk the face of the earth.
I agree.
I mean,
I absolutely agree.
he is.
And a hell of a drum set too. Oh my
Yeah.
say. He writes a lyric or two.
Yeah.
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 Well, he was a college professor too, I think,
Yeah.
wasn't he, or something?
did his lyrics even make sense?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
listen to him.
Yeah, I mean,
It's all my head.
once you know the subject, the lyrics make perfect sense. Like the big money.
Well, they got into the whole, telling of like Dionysus, and
Yeah.
also got into the Lord of the Rings realm of things, and just all kinds of. I think Neil's great.
They were doing concept albums a lot longer, than some of these other bands were. You know, like 2112. That whole album is nothing but conceptual. You know,
Yeah.
That was from a science fiction writer.
Yeah.
Anne Lang, I think, is her name.
and it was about a where rock and roll was banned or something.
It was banned, and yeah.
And there's a lot of bands that's copied that formula, like Styx, you know, Mr. Roboto.
Right.
So, yeah. All right, Tony,
All right.
you ready?
Yeah.
John Sykes from Blue Murder versus Adrian Vandenberg.
Adrian Vandenberg.
Wow. Oh my God. Wow. Paul Gilbert versus Vivian Campbell.
I'm gonna say Vivian Campbell.
Vivian. Okay.
Yeah.
Good choice. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't go wrong. Okay. Adrian Vandenberg versus Vivian Campbell.
Oh man.
Both of them.
I'm gonna say Adrian Vandenberg.
That's a good
I
choice.
saw him live. Vandenberg opened up for
Yeah, lucky.
yeah, they opened up for
The Beatles.
Iron Maiden.
Right.
Or no, it was Judas Priest. It was Judas Priest or Iron Maiden at the Barton Coliseum way back. It was
84.
84, 83, 1984. I saw Vandenberg. They practically unknown.
Yeah.
They played their ballad. What's it called?
Burning Heart.
Burning Heart. Yeah, I bought the album after that, and yeah.
Well, none
Welcome
of us
to the
would know.
club.
None of us would know
Yeah.
about it.
Remember
If it
that
wasn't
song?
for Chuck.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
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 Welcome to the club Friday night. You wait till the shit hits the fan.
Right.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have, none of us. I mean, Chuck come to in '86, and I mean, we were listening to Racer X and Vandenberg. We didn't know who they were.
Yeah, but he came from. They didn't.
He
ban,
came from
they,
Dallas.
They didn't ban him TV and stuff. There he came. He had everything.
Oh, man, no, it was Ozzy tour after Randy Rhodes passed away in that accident. He had
Brad Gillis.
Brad Gillis. He went on that tour playing some old Black Sabbath. I
Yeah.
can't remember what it was.
Speak of the Devil tour.
Yeah. Okay. That Vandenberg opened up for Ozzy at the Barton. That's when that was.
That's awesome.
83, 84,
Yeah.
somewhere like that.
A lot of people don't know this, but the very first guitar player that Ozzy hired after Randy died was Pat Travers.
Really?
Yes.
No, I didn't know
And
that.
he only played with him briefly and on tours, and then he hired Brad Gillis.
Yeah.
And then Brad came in.
Yeah, I actually got to interview Brad when I was at WRD, and of course, you know, first thing I went to was like, what was it like playing for Ozzy? You know, he's a nice guy. He's only like this tall. I mean, man, he got
Did
the
you
shred.
interview him whenever they come? Night Ranger
Yeah,
come
yeah.
back. Man, I
Yeah.
seen that sound just like the CD at
Yeah.
the river. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I met Kelly Key, the drummer. Jack Blades had ran off with Steve Thomas to go antiquing. So I didn't get a chance to meet Jack, but you know, which is fine because you know I met who I wanted to meet, got to hang out with Brad, and then Kelly Keegy. I love the drummer that that sings. So, but yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, let's speak a little bit about the show, and we'll cut this off. It's April 14th, 8 p.m.
Mhm.
What can we expect for the classic Jaded Heart fans and for the new listeners?
Hopefully, we're able to play the songs.
Yeah. without it being a train wreck.
Hopefully, we can play the songs.
Hopefully, there's still people alive that remember us.
Well, there was a whole room full of that last week, so
Yeah,
you
it'll be fun.
You got your core fans there.
It'll be fun.
I hope they like some good, heavy rock metal.
Right.
It'll be
That's
fun.
what it's going to be.
Good. So if
be
y'all
fun.
hadn't trailed off anything from, it's not too light. It's just right there in that
No.
meaty part of the
Yeah.
metal spectrum.
No,
Yeah, it's us.
it's gonna be a metal show.
So you expect there'll be some people in the mosh pit this time, or I mean,
I
even
doubt
us
it.
old farts, you know?
I doubt it.
Now, I think they'll be sitting in
Yeah.
where the mosh pit would be.
Ah.
They'll be
In a
sitting
lawn chair with a
lawn
beer in
chair
their
with
hand.
a beer in their hand.
Oh.
And maybe play the crawfish and just chilling. And
Which, hey, that's not a bad way.
No.
That's not a bad way to enjoy music.
Do y'all think that there'll be any brawls thrown at you, or
No.
chest showing? Or,
if they do, there'll be big bras. and it'll be maybe some chests we don't want to see.
yeah,
but we'll probably see him anyway.
Gravity may take its toll on some of that, or, yeah.
Hey, that's all right. Gravity's taking its toll on all of us. So.
Too much information.
Anything else you guys want to talk about? Did you forget anything?
Y'all come out and hear us.
Yeah,
Come out.
please come out to the show, and we hope you enjoy.
We're finally getting Tony out of the house after 18 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, 20,
20 years?
19 years.
19 years since we played.
Well, you're right, 18, because we done the little instrumental.
Well, this ain't the first show that you played, but with the band it has, right?
Yeah, with Jaded Heart, it'll be 2004.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, let's, before we end, how many times will this be that y'all reunited?
It's only
It'll
second.
be second time.
Second. So the first time was to raise money for your sister, right? And that was at the Melba.
And
And
that was
y'all
just a few songs too. It wasn't, and we really didn't put a lot of
Aren't
work
y'all
into it.
responsible for the ceiling plopping down?
No,
No, that was at the Landers.
Okay.
That was the Landers, and I think that was Mudvayne.
Okay.
Yeah, I was playing with 10 Tone Symphony that night.
Really?
Yeah, with Greg right out doing the sound and everything, and then that was crazy.
the first time we got together was, a benefit for his sister, and I think that was after we've been split up, 10 years maybe?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was our 10-year anniversary, and now we're going to do our 30. Basically, it's 30 year, but is that right?
I think
It'll
so.
be 30 years, yeah. 30
But
years.
it's going to be 18 or 19 years since the last time we got together, 2004.
And y'all only played a couple of songs during that?
Yeah, there wasn't very. It was what maybe we did like 5 or 6 or something like that.
And then we did the Tony Moser band stuff too.
Did we rehearse for those?
Not
Yeah,
much.
My sister
3.
Yeah, it was 2 or 3 rehearsals.
I've got you on recording saying that we practiced 3 times.
Yeah.
Wait, that may be it. Maybe it was 3 times we rehearsed.
Well, we practiced more than 3 times this time,
Yeah, yeah.
so we're
yeah,
gonna
we-
be better.
Shouldn't have told him that.
Yeah, this is our first rehearsal.
Yeah, this is it.
Yeah, just,
We're just winging it.
yeah, first one, a lot of mistakes, but we'll stumble through it.
Yeah.
If you don't know our songs, you won't know the mistakes. You don't catch them.
So, I mean, y'all had talked about maybe doing a medley, or Tony did, so that's no more medleys.
Yeah, medley was just wasn't us.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we had more time to sit down and work, pick through, and we were going to write a new original, but we just don't have time.
Yeah.
Getting ready for this.
I know it just seems like yesterday when we did the first interview, and here we are.
I know
the
we
week before.
our first rehearsal.
Yeah,
was-
we're doing that in a couple days.
Yeah, I know.
Y'all nervous?
Yeah, I'm very nervous.
Anybody else nervous?
I'm not nervous. I just hope my voice holds out.
Yeah, I don't like that. It's like I'm not nervous that I don't know the songs. I know the songs. I just can't play that shit no more.
So stage fright is a non-issue then.
It probably is for me up to the first or second note is done, and then
You
if
get
everything gets past the first or second note, then
You can ask these guys. I've always had an issue with stage fright.
Yeah, turn me nervous.
Always. I just got a problem with it. And, when you get nervous, you get tense on them first couple songs and your fingers don't move the way you want them to. But usually after 1 or 2 songs, I'll start,
Easing back into it.
easing into it.
We will all end up at the same place at the end of the night.
Yeah.
There you go. So is most of those people that came here, I know there's a few from out of town like Nigel, and they're all expected to be there too,
Hopefully.
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 Good deal.
Has Tim coming? Tim Counties?
No, I think Tim's had to go back.
Florida. That
He's
way
in Colorado now.
Colorado.
but we will have merchandise. Of course we got these shirts that Tony's
Show
got
'em off,
on,
there you go.
and then we've got the retro one that you got a picture of that
Well, yeah, I do. Yeah.
Mike, he
retro from back in the day.
wants some big gear.
And
Yeah.
this used to be the Psycho Man shirt, right?
Yeah, old school.
I call it retro because that's one of the very early shirts in 1983
Yeah.
or 893, and
Yeah.
then
This
we'll,
is the one that Chuck, you sent me with
That's
the
your-
press
that's-
pack.
Yeah,
Your
that's,
daughter's.
that's for my daughter.
of course we're gonna have pictures that we could sign if we want, or you just take the pictures. We got some koozies. We got what else is there?
Tell them what
We
koozies
got a
are.
CD. Tony's got 2 different CDs. And did I miss anything?
Okay, what's on CD1? That'd be your demos, right?
Yeah, the main CD has got the Suffer demo, demo 1 and demo 2.
Okay, so the second CD would have more of the practices and.
The second CD has got some older recordings. Remember the Gospel Studio, Judas Kiss?
Yeah.
It's got the Velvet Ridge,
Mm-hmm.
Murder,
Yeah.
Jaded Heart,
Give and take.
Give and
Give
take.
and Take.
Sister and Chain.
It's got some live songs that I don't know how they did it, but we recorded live, playing someplace. We got Castles in the Sand.
And then that one you're talking about, Walking Dead is
Yeah.
on there.
Yeah.
Walking Dead.
And good God, that song.
Psycho City.
Walking Dead on there?
Should be. If it ain't, well, I don't. Or maybe it's not.
What was the one you said that started with an S? What was that one? I've never even heard that one.
Strap?
Yeah, I've never.
Yeah,
heard
no,
that.
there's 3 songs that they're nothing but jam box recordings. That
One.
At mom and dad's.
You did not send me Strap. You got homework tonight.
No, you always say I didn't send it, and I sent it to you. So, yeah, I had that. LOL.
Anyways, do it again just to be.
No, we used to record it on a little jam box. Tony or Jason would take a kick drum mic, set it back there with just one microphone that covered 3 of the songs, just 3 or 4.
There's 3 songs.
3 songs that Chuck's got lyrics to. We've got other ones that are not on there that he hadn't put lyrics to yet. So there's plenty of songs out there that to be recorded.
That's awesome. Probably the studio time. Well, I mean, because you could do it, in your own time, so you're not rushed. And you're not getting charged a ass pile of money to record by the hour. So that's got to be a comfort knowing that when you do decide to go back in the studio, it's a lot different. It's a game changer now.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Right. Well, I can tell you one magical thing that's happened thus far for me personally is I got my drum machine back. So I'm thankful for you guys reuniting. So it works like it always did. I just got to print off the instruction manual, which is 125 pages. So I'm eternally grateful to you guys for that alone. So, anything else before we close out?
Y'all come hear us if you can.
Come out.
Yeah.
Please do.
Y'all have anything to say individually? No? Dr. Tony?
Oh, I mean, I enjoyed getting back together with you guys. And
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
playing, it just flows. It took us a little bit, to tone it up, but you just know. I know what Jason's gonna do. I know he's fixing to go into a role. I just know what he's gonna do, and so I do the simplest thing I can and let him do the hard stuff and sound like $1,000,000.
There you go.
It's going to be interesting because this is going to be the first time my daughters have really seen me do anything, at this level.
Right.
I think they've seen me with my band, a few times, but they have, they've heard me talk about Jaded Heart from back in the day, and us trying to get a record deal and almost doing it, and so this will be interesting for them to get to see that.
So they see the Chuck used to bounce around and sling the hair.
There won't be any slinging of hair because I don't have any.
Break a neck or something. Fall back.
Shatter a hip.
One night practicing, I went to get in the guitar stance. My knee about gave out on me. I might fall down.
Y'all need to drink some Sure before you get up there and get to playing.
Yeah.
I'll be loaded up on Geritol and vitamin water. So
Ibuprofen.
ibuprofen, Geritol, and vitamin water.
All right. Well, if that's what everybody's got, I would say thank you guys for allowing me to be a part of this. It's an honor, and you guys know how I feel about you individually and collectively. So I do want to thank you for that.
Well, thanks for having
Well,
me.
thanks for coming out.
Hey man, you guys, you're doing me a favor because the first interview we did created a lot of traffic and new traffic for the page. So this is going to do the same thing. So I do appreciate it.
I appreciate you just keeping the songs going,
Yeah.
every Wednesday. And
Yeah. If you want to check out their songs, pictorial, come to Best Damn Show on Wednesdays. We do Headbangers Ball Hump Day, and I always try to squeeze in a Jaded Heart. Probably this week I'm going to do 2 since it's closer to the show. But those have really gotten a lot of traffic, so I appreciate
Cool.
that.
Excellent.
All right.
See you guys.
See you.
Great. See y'all.